TBS title was on the line at the start of this week's episode of Dynamite, and I thought about this because sometimes I do activate my brain. I actually think right now that title feels like a pretty big deal. Also, hello my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs for AEW Dynamite. We are only like 10 days away from All Elite Wrestling coming back to the UK. Very excited because I live in the UK. That's it. That's all there is. Let's up those downs. Going back to the match in question, though, it was Hikaru Shida taking on Mercedes Moné. I'm going to be a very early negative Nancy, but I am giving it a down. And that's only because when this match was announced, somebody said to me, wait a minute, Simon, didn't Shida lose to Britt Baker a few weeks ago? So why would she be getting a title shot? I thought about it, I thought about it. I was like, damn it, you're right. Now, I do get she got a victory at the weekend, but sometimes wins and losses have to mean something. Otherwise, they mean nothing. That's like Google mapping to your own house. It's like, what are we doing? We've arrived at the same place that we were to begin with. So yeah, I know it doesn't make a big difference in the grand scheme of things, but if somebody does get inside my guts, what am I going to do? Down. Otherwise, though, I thought this was great because these two just had a back and forth tennis wrestling match. At one point, Shida was going for something. Mercedes said, no, I'm going to get you. Then we had Hurricane Ranas. And just when Mercedes was going to get kneed in the face, she bailed to the outside of the ring. Because one, nobody wants to get kneed in the face. And two, her friend Camille was out there. I mean, she doesn't look like this, but she is the brick house. At one point, too, Camille even grabbed Moné's leg to stop Shida suplexing her. That's like, it's really smart. It's basically physics. Shida still hit this awesome tilt-a-whirl backbreaker when Camille was just casting distraction again. This is where my hand went up, and I was like, who is in charge of AEW? She has done this every single week since she has debuted. Maybe somebody should tell her, stop going to the ring. It did allow Mercedes to hit this awesome meteor to the outside, and when we got back in the ring, she was hitting the backstabbers, which made sense, because every single one of her finishing moves essentially goes after the back. Thing is, though, she then just kept going for Meteora and more Meteoras. She was spamming Meteoras, so Shida was like, I'm going to get out the way of this. When Mercedes Moné hit a Meteora. And I was like, well, look, we've learned a valuable lesson there. Never give in. Shida then returned fire with the Falcon Arrow just as Mercedes was going for the Three Amigos. This is where Camille got involved again because he just dragged Moné out of the squared circle. This was totally fine. Yes, of course you could do that. Why would I care, the referee? It also means if somebody did run out during a match and kidnap somebody, this would be perfectly okay. But fair play to Shida. She was so mad here, so she whipped Camille's ass, and she even had a kendo stick. Mercedes then tried to steal that, and the referee was just spinning around like Kylie Minogue at this point, but that meant she took her eyes off the prize, which is when Camille decided, I don't appreciate how you have appreciated me, Shida. And she booted her right in the face. That allowed Mercedes to hit the Moné maker as she got the 1, 2, 3. People always go, oh, it's such a terrible finish. I was like, believe you me, I've seen worse. When Britt Baker's music started to hit, this place went crazy. Now, Camille started running around like some kind of lost puppy until she saw somebody in the crowd wearing a Sting mask. So she whooped the crap out of them. I was like, man, this is totally unfair. I know that Baker did that once, but if I go to a wrestling show and I decide to dress as Sting, I don't want to be sat there the whole time going, oh my gosh, Camille may beat me up. That's gonna hurt. It was true as well, because instead Baker came out the crowd. Man, I was laughing away because I'm such a nerd. Rather than just attack Mercedes, she put the glove on first. This is like when Jeff Hardy did his dance when his brother was getting beaten up. Would you just get on with it? It was really well done though, because just as he was about to apply the lockjaw, once again Camille saved Mercedes Moné's ass. So you could say when we do get to Wembley, Britt Baker is going to be at disadvantage because she's going to have to take out two people. Britt had the kendo stick at one point as well, so she was chasing everybody away. And I think the main part when it comes to this feud is I am looking forward to that match in London because I really can't call it. Like, you could give it to Britt Baker or Moné could retain that title, or maybe somebody else gets involved in this program. But it was a nicer way to kick off a Dynamite, giving it that. When we saw the footage after last week's episode of the show, where Hangman Adam Page just beat the crap out of Jeff Jarrett when we were with Double J and his crew. They're like, yeah, we didn't much appreciate that. We don't want to get punched in the face. This is when the cowboy arrived again and just caused shenanigans when we cut straight to the ring, because it was going to be Hangman Adam Page taking on Jay Lethal, which makes all the sense in the world because Jay is Double J's friend. And if I were going to hazard a guess, when we do get to All In, I think it is going to be Hangman versus Jeff. As always though, anything with Page is so damn good right now, because even though he is totally unhinged, everything he's saying is actually damn true, as we were going to find out later on in this show. Now Lethal's big plan here was, I'm going to hit you with 5 dives, so he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess it worked for around about 8 seconds, but all you did is hit Hangman's mad button and he went off again. I mean, he hit a DVD onto the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, and threw Jay into Timmy the Timekeeper's area where he was just trying to rip off his limbs. And I was like, Lethal, you don't want that. How are you going to be able to move? At one point, though, Adam started bleeding from the mouth, which I think sent him back to that Texas death match because he forgot what he was doing, when Jay Lethal basically busted in with a lethal combination, and he was going for the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. But listen, he was just having a bad evening. It did not work. He then tried for the figure four, but Page wanted none of that, so he raked the eyes when he actually murdered him with this lariat. And even though he did then go finish him off with the buckshot, even the commentators were like, I think he needed to hit that move. Jay Lethal already dead. So you got to figure that all of this is building to All Out, which is a couple of weeks after All In, when we finally do Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Adam Page. And you also have to ask the question, is Swerve even going to be the world champion by then? I don't know. I don't book the show, but I am giving this an up. We then got such a good video for the MJF versus Will Osprey feud, which also went back to the weekend in Rev Pro, when MJF took on Michael Oku with a mirror in his corner. We also made sure everybody knew that Osprey had come back to make the save, because of course at the end of this, Max looked at the mirror and was like, I am going to give you the Tiger Driver, because, you know, even though he's absolutely brilliant, he's also a bit of a dick. It just got you so pumped though, and because it is MJF and Will Ospreay, they are making this international title / American championship feel like such a big deal. So I presume this is not the main event of the pay-per-view, but when they do come out, everyone's going to be like, oh, I can't wait to see it. And it was the first of loads of good videos on this episode, and I'm giving it an up. I think maybe the best part was after this though, because Pac just zoomed in and looked right into the camera and he was like, wait a minute, bub. Who is the #1 contender for that championship that everybody was just talking about? It ain't Will Ospreay, it's me. Pac is also sick of being overlooked, and I was just cheering at this point, because we talked about it 7 days ago. He was in this position, and then for some reason, everybody forgot about him. And what does the song tell us? You don't forget about Pac. He has come up with an idea, though, which is to come All Out, he shall challenge the winner. I'm going to have to presume that at All In, he will be in that casino gauntlet, which is fine. Also, I got a bit of my bee in a bonnet about this, because I really wanted Pac to be in like a showcase match at All In. At the moment, given the calendar, well, I don't think it's going to happen. So I really do appreciate the fact that AEW has finally mentioned this, because it was a little bit of a plot hole. And Pac also said, oh, by the way, that pay-per-view is in the same arena where I beat Kenny Omega. So all this was good stuff, but just for my own personal belongings, whatever that means, it is getting it down just because it's my disappointment. I thought Pac was going to be in that match for the international title, and although what I'm getting is still absolutely brilliant, I'm a Pac fan, man. What are you going to do? Guess you could call me a Pac man. Shouldn't have said it. We then saw footage of Darby Allin as he talked about the fact that even when he was on the indie scene, he would go out and kill himself for no money. When he found out about this company called AEW, where I suppose he could kill himself, but this time for lots of cash. He also heard about some idiot called Jack Perry getting signed, and that's when he knew it doesn't matter what the 3 initials are above the door, quite clearly the Elite are just going out there and signing all their boys. He basically doesn't have any respect for Jack when he was going to come to the ring to do something, but we will never know, because Jack Perry just teleported in from the Starship Enterprise. My goodness, he whipped this guy's ass. They then fought backstage too, where Jack threw Darby into a box-like structure, when he also hit him with a garbage can. I was like, who uses trash as a weapon? Perry was then essentially going to kill this guy using a crate in a door when finally the security ran in. And I was like, yeah, if you hadn't have done that, you would have had a dead body on your hands. And what the hell would you have done then? It turns out he was building to some proper madness though, because Jack Perry then just went, I want a coffin match. I was giggling again, because it will mean come All In, we've had 2 of these huge Wembley shows, and for some reason we have had 2 coffin matches. I really did like all of this though, because if you do actually go through their history and all the times they fought and all the times it's gotten out of control, yeah, it probably would build to some crazy stipulation. And why you'd want to bury somebody in a coffin, I don't know. But I do think this is totally justified. It's kind of one of those feuds that's been simmering under the brim, whatever that means, I don't know. But I am giving it an up. I'm actually quite looking forward to this. I think they've done a good job. When we got to Mariah May's big video tribute to Toni Storm, and if wrestling was real, for lack of a better term, and you aired this, you would definitely be arrested and taken to jail. On that same note too, it's amazing that AEW let this video play, because Mariah was saying stuff like, well, Is it better to be remembered, or is it better to be forgotten? Is it better to be put in the ground, or is it better to go up in flames? Sheesh. May is also ready to be everything that Toni Storm was without the mistakes, and the biggest error that Toni ever made was existing in the same era as Mariah May, because she can't compete. The point is, one day people will question whatever did happen to that Toni Storm, but don't worry, they're both gonna die, but I am gonna be the one doing your eulogy. And I was like, oh my gosh, that may be the best line anybody has uttered in 2024. You definitely can't say any of that without getting arrested though. So bam, there is the crime counter and it goes up by 1. But given that this feud has been going on for 8 months or whatever it was, and we're still coming out with stuff like this, well, I would imagine, even if you were on the fence, surely you have to watch it and go, I'm pretty excited for these two crazy people. And sure, AEW could have just had them scrap again, but I thought this was way better. And I really hope Toni Storm has some kind of rebuttal, because we are not standing on ceremony here, Mr. Wayne. So again, I've already told you that every single video on this episode was damn good. Let's get it up. When we actually heard from Mina Shirakawa, she is back. Now, she also admitted that she hadn't heard from Mariah May or Toni Storm, but her big issue is she doesn't want either of these two to get hurt or All In. You are absolutely going to be wrong with that one. So she's definitely going to turn up and screw one of them, which actually isn't the worst idea given their history. Although if somebody could tell me where this promo was shot from, I would be interested. It kind of looked like they were doing it outside of a freezer. When Orange Cassidy was able to lay claim to the #1 spot in the casino gauntlet that is happening at All In. He was facing Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, and I really enjoyed this because it's like a Royal Rumble in reverse. In that match, you want to be number 30, but of course here, because it is sudden death rules, you want the #1 or the #2 spot, because if you've got number 12 and somebody else gets the pin, well, you're just going to be in the back going, man, I hate my life, it always goes bad. They kick the crap out of each other to begin when Orange and Kyle essentially focused on Roderick Strong. But when he was down, Kyle was like, get back in the ring, my dear piece of fruit. Orange was like, no, I'm not listening to you. And he rolled it instead. Of course, they are part of the conglomeration, so I suppose they are kind of friends, but here they need to have their eye on the prize when I have it on good authority that they got screwed by the most powerful force in all of sports entertainment. The commercial break. Now, because I watch on Triller TV, I don't get adverts, but everybody said it went to black, and when it did return, Roddy was just kicking ass. That's because of the commercials, man. I ain't joking, they have scary, scary strength. He went backbreaker crazy because he loves all of that stuff when Carl eventually got rid of him. And that's when Orange and O'Reilly decided it's our time to go. Honestly, they went so fast. But I didn't know an Orange could move that quick. The chop that Roderick then gave Cassidy was so loud, I was amazed that Juice didn't go everywhere. When O'Reilly was back in, and he locked on a submission when Orange Cassidy eventually fell on them from the top rope, and everybody was down. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett were then here. And I was like, where the hell have you guys been? It's been like 8 minutes. But clearly they are being stalked by Mark Briscoe and Ishii, because instantly they came out to calm all of this down when Mark Briscoe jumped off the chair and all of them flubbed off. Kyle and Strong then smacked each other in the bones as Orange started to do his little kicks, but that increased his MP and he went nuts once again. When we got this amazing Hurricane Rana and his 3-way DDT spot, I just started to clap. They're very good wrestlers. There was then even more submission kicks and who knows what else when we actually got a double pin. But thankfully this referee had been watching wrestling and was like, no, listen, we've had enough of that. I am going to need a singular winner. O'Reilly was cooking though and he was able to apply a submission onto Roderick Strong, but that is when Orange Cassidy had taken his med pack because he snuck in and he hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment surprise roll up and he got the 3 and he is now numero uno. So I'm very excited for this gauntlet. I still think it's the best concept that AEW has ever come up with. And I would actually make a pay-per-view called the Casino Gauntlet and just do it once a year. But I don't know anything, but this is getting it up. When we did get our face-to-face between Okada and Claudio Castagnoli, and I tell you, I find it a bit weird we're doing this on the Dynamite before All In and not the pay-per-view itself, but you can still plug me in. I'm excited. Now, Claudio admitted that he felt like he should have won that Continental Championship when it was first up for grabs, but he let himself down. When we cut to Okada, he was just doing this sarcastic clap. I love that guy. He then ran off all of his accomplishments and told him that Castagnoli is not ready. When, of course, surprise, surprise, he called him a bitch. So bring it down. There is the bitch counter. Actually, this did have a couple of weeks off because everybody stopped saying it. But look at that number, we only began in July. Claudio also made it clear that he doesn't want the stupid stew just been hanging around with the Elite and he wants the Rainmaker, because when they do clash, they should have a match for the ages. Damn right. He also added another one to the bitch counter because he said to Okada, you do have 99 problems This bitch is gonna be one. I was like, yeah, very, very excited about this match. So this was really good, and while I can't see Claudio winning, we did make this feel like it is something that everybody needs to tune in for. I mean, it's Claudio Castagnoli versus Okada, and a few years ago, that was basically a dream match. I am giving it enough. Christian Cage was interviewed next. Honestly, this guy. Now, if you don't know, he had screwed over the Bang Bang Gang and the House of Black on Collision because he was a special guest referee, and after he had whipped everybody's ass, he just went, well, I suppose I'm gonna have to count you out. No winner. Of course, he's gonna get totally screwed because somebody announced that this will be a triple threat match. This is honestly wrestling's favorite angle in 2024. It doesn't matter the company. Every single heel is like, oh, I've come up with a great idea in this #1 contender match. You need to start watching the shows more, it never works. Now, he also said that he's going to win a bunch of championships to make his way back up to the world title, which is interesting. When he also told his fake son, Nick Wayne, I ain't going to watch you wrestle this weekend. It's in Norfolk, and I ain't going to Norfolk. He then told Renee to go and be a mother, as opposed to ask him any more questions. And let's hope she's better at that job than she is at being an interviewer. I'm just like, man, Christian Cage, you're totally crazy, and I shouldn't like you. But I actually think you're bloody brilliant. When Batman was here, I mean Hook, or Hookman, no. Tony Schiavone welcomed him back though, and Hook was indeed wearing an eye patch, which means he goes into the AEW High Patch Hall of Fame. I mean, John Moxley wore one, I think Claudio had one on for a while, obviously Bryan Danielson. This is like an interesting run. Come 2024, who is gonna be next? I also laugh because I'm a bad person, because Tony Schiavone went, hey man, how's the eye? And he's like, well, you know, it ain't great. Obviously. Thankfully, he had two eyes, though, which was quite the revelation, and that's why right here, right now, he wants to fight Chris Jericho for that damn FTW title. Now, I'm not sure how that does tie in, but whatever works. Also, he cut the whole promo like this. I'm coming for you, Chris Jericho, I'm gonna whoop your butt. So, of course, it was the learning tree that set him on fire, so they did arrive. Chris Jericho's like, we can have a fight, but we're not gonna do it here or now. In fact, we're gonna do it at All In. But there's some provisos. First and foremost, when Hook does lose at Wembley, he is never allowed another shot at the FTW title. And also, he's out the Jericho Vortex forever, which I think means he can never fight Christopher again. He also has to fight Big Bill next week, and honestly, if your kids watch this show, do not let them watch Dynamite in 7 days' time, because Bill said he was going to take Hook and shove him right up Taz's ass. That is going to be horrible, horrible viewing. Hook was fine with all of this though and said he was going to rip off all of Chris Jericho's limbs, which would be an effective way to win the match. And I do kind of feel like he should have attacked them or had them in a threatening position when Jericho's like, oh, I accept. But at the same time, if you think Big Billy Boy is going to whoop his ass so bad he's not going to be ready for All In, well, I can see why you would say yes. This was okay though. It still just kind of feel like it lacks something, and I like Brian Keith to be involved more. But if it does end with Hook getting a big championship win over Chris Jericho at Wembley Stadium, well, I don't think you can say fairer than that. So I shall go with it up, but of course we need to wait and see. But it didn't take up that much TV time. I thought it was fine. When it was indeed our tag team title match, the Acclaimed taking on the Young Bucks. Let me just go back to being a negative Nancy for 1 second and get it out of the way. Because this has been too long a time coming. Like, I think it should have happened a couple of weeks ago. And really, if we do wrap it up neat in a little package, AEW needs to heat up its tag team scene again. And no, this has nothing to do with the Bucks and what contract dates they may or may not have or when they are booked for the show. That doesn't make any kind of a difference. I mean, pick the promotion you want. So many times we have seen the champions not turn up for television, and it's been perfectly fine. I mostly just think it's an overall thing where we do need to have more tag teams going after these belts because they are important. And really, AEW made a rod for their own back here, because a couple of years ago it was so damn good, and now really it's just not as good, but we can get there again because we have the talent. But in terms of here on this night, just getting a mini down. Otherwise, this was a solid piece of business, as they say, especially because the Acclaim jumped the Young Bucks right away, and you would do that. These two have been being goobers for months. You wouldn't lock up. Bowens even did a dive off the stage, so he had gone totally mad. When eventually Matthew and Nicholas did get back into this, and Nick started to pose with the title, and I was like, why is nobody listening to me? You gotta leave all your D-pads at home. If you overly taunt in 2024, somebody is gonna come and get you. The Acclaim did this too when Bowens hit this awesome bulldog, although Nick was able to get the blind tag when we kind of switched things around again. When Daddy Ass finally made himself known, I was like, dude, you took your time. When he got ejected about 1 minute later, because he started chasing after the Young Bucks. No. Nick then felt like ripping up a fan sign, which is a terrible idea because Castor was able to cast confusion, so the Bucks ran into each other. And the whole time Bowens had been warming up his hand. kind of a hot tag. And I say kinda because he basically got taken out instantly. So Max had to get the real hot tag, and then he sort of went wild. I mean, essentially they all ran into each other and fell down. Matthew then powerbombed Anthony Bowens onto the stage, which was absolutely horrific. And when he was going to use the tag team title as a weapon and the referee stopped him, instantly Matt just whacked Max Caster right in the balls. I mean, that's what he does. The Bucks were then going to use the championships when finally FTR came out here, and Dax looked at Matthew and was like, "You're not allowed to do that, you stupid, stupid man." So do you know what Matt Jackson did? He went to her and he spat in Dax's face. So bring it down. We've only used this a couple of times this year. It is the morally acceptable counter. I'm sorry, that is not morally acceptable. I believe it moves up to 3. And the problem was, kind of understandably, Harwood was so mad he attacked the Young Bucks, and surprise, surprise, this is when the referee was getting back to his feet. He's like, wait a minute, that's a bald guy in this match. There are no bald guys in this match, it's DQ. Now I quite like this because AEW doesn't do many disqualifications, so they do use them well. When Billy Gunn was back, that is when we did cut to the back and Christopher Daniels was here. And he was like, man, I'm sick of all these three. I can't handle it anymore, so at All In, it's gonna be a 3-way. So admittedly, the build to this has been a little bit wishy-washy, but at least we did get the Acclaimed their title match. And look, at All In, this is gonna be so damn good. I like the fact that Max Caster and Anthony Bowens are getting their moment on the biggest of all stages. They've totally earned it. Should give it an up. When we got this video for Bryan Danielson's career, set to Green Day's The Time of Your Life, and my gosh, everybody gotta go and watch this. Because it focused on his entire career, including AEW, Ring of Honor, everything he'd done in the Indies, and even PWG. And if this doesn't make water come out of your seeing devices, well, you may actually be made of stone. If so, fair play, that's really cool. We also got Bryan dropping the line, if you fight for your dreams will fight for you. And that was it. I was just shouting at my TV, he has to win the World Championship at All In, even though he's probably talking to Tony Khan right now going, nah, I don't think I ever need to win another match again. But in terms of getting you hyped, it has to give that up. I mean, this was emotion personified. We then cut to Bryan Danielson, who was in the ring in the front row because he was about to watch his boy. Swerve Strickland came out to face Wheeler Yuta, and my word, he beat him via stoppage. Now I'm going to throw in my final nerd down here as well, so you have to forgive me, but I do kind of agree with this. Even though Wheeler Yuta is in the BCC and him and Bryan Danielson, are meant to be bros, I kind of thought, man, over the last few weeks, we probably should have tried to re-establish this relationship because it would have hit harder. And he was a little bit like, man, I don't even believe you're friends anymore. Sorry, I'm going to give it a down, but seriously, it doesn't matter because what we did in the match was so damn good. Because for the first chunk of it, Wheels was trying to date down Swerve, who's like, nah, man, I'm an insane, crazy person, and I'm going to kill you. So once again, Hangman Adam Page was right as Strickland just threw Wheeler Yuta into Barry Barricade and Simba the Steel Steps. When they were back in the ring, he started talking trash to Bryan, essentially going, I'm going to be the one to retire you. You were then trying to fight back, but Swerve stopped him when he talked too much trash to Bryan, because all of a sudden, I tell you, Wheeler busted out this awesome Hurricane Rana, and what I think was like a diving elbow thingamajig, and I guess you would do that, it's really pointy. So he went for another dive and totally missed, which is when Swerve applied the label lock and he knew what he was doing. But Yuta reversed that into the ankle lock when he was like, haha, I know what to do. And he hit him with the Anvo elbows, and we just talked about that. It's pointy. They then slapped each other as hard as they could, but Strickland was just laughing because he loves the pain when he just knocked this guy out with a headbutt. And because he was all woozy-goozy, oh my gosh, he hit him with house call after house call. And even the commentators were like, yeah, Strickland, you need to calm down. It was too late though, because he decided to stomp on Wheeler Yuta's face. And given that he wouldn't give in, the referee went, right, I'm calling it, the match is off. And then surprise, surprise, do you think Swerve calmed down? He just continued. This led Bryan to try and make the save, which when Strickland ran away. But given what he said on the microphone, let's just say it one third time, Hangman Adam Page was right. Because Strickland said he had a big plan for All In because he presumes that Bryan is going to bring his family. So he is going to do to Danielson what he just did to Wheeler Yuta. But who will be in the front row position this time? It will be Bryan's daughter, and she can watch her daddy's life basically come to an end. Another Swerve, you've got real problems. After that, he can retire for good, which is when Danielson went to check on Wheeler Yuta. But of course, Swerve Strickland ran right to the ring, and he assaulted this man when, no joke, he did the yes chant as Prince Nana did the dance. These two have gone evil. He's such a great character though because he actually has depth to him, and it's the same with Bryan Danielson. And this was a fabulous end to AEW Dynamite because we cemented this as the main event of All In. But you've also got me going, I have no idea who is going to win and who is going to lose. And that is Wrestling Secret Sauce. It's called Jeopardy. So you have to go and check this out. It was a really good main event and an excellent go-home angle, even though we do have one more Dynamite. But I am going to give it an up. Boy, oh boy, am I pumped for this match. Which means we got to the end of another AEW Dynamite, and I am going to give it an up. And really, it kind of feels like we should have done this in 7 days' time, but listen, that show is going to be from Cardiff. You're going to have a bunch of crazy UK fans going crazy, obviously. I ain't mad at it. Also, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen, which is Ups and Downs for Monday Night Raw, to continue your wrestling journey with I, Simon Miller. But otherwise, have a lovely day, my friends. I'll see you soon.